Well, when we went out and did our sighting, I had the two rifles here. I had the 9141, which probably has the best bore in rifling, and I had that Troop Special carbine that was giving us the weird variance in the flyers. Now, usually when you go look at these guns at the gun show, you try to look at, or when you're buying them, you should look at the bore and that. And there's several little quick tests people use. But you got to remember, these are pretty, these 6.5s are small bores. Now, if you do the bullet test, which is the common one, where somebody takes a shell and sticks it into the end of the barrel to see how far down in it goes, you know, obviously you're supposed to, you know, you can tell if it's counterbored or the bore's way worn out. This here is kind of hard. This is a Carcano bullet, and if you look, when you put it in there compared to this one, there really isn't much of a noticeable difference. So this ain't gonna work. It's kind of hard to disassemble guns and really check them out. I did know this rifling was worn. It's not pitted, but it doesn't look as sharp or whatever. So our next thing is to use gauge pins. And the gauge pins, like in my series on the Most and the Gons, how we measure the bore. And rifle bores, when they wear, will be larger towards the muzzle and taper back. And I found that in some of the Nagants. And that was how I was able to tell which Nagant had a lot of rounds through it and which ones were fairly decent, good bores in terms of the depth of the rifling. Okay, just because rifling is still present in the barrel doesn't mean that it's worn off. So we get the gauge pins. We know the groove diameter is about, say, 267. All right, so we have a 256 pin, which goes in to this very loosely. And also, how you use this pin, 256 kind of goes in there pretty good. 257 starts. 57. That's 58. 257 kind of goes. So if that kind of goes and it's stiff, generally that means that the bore, the actual measurement, if you use the bore gauge or something, is 258. Okay. If you can get the pin in a little bit underneath, it's usually, because if it's the same exact size, 258, you see the pin doesn't even go in. So we can assume that this is 258, the bore diameter. We know they slug at 267, 268. Okay, so you got 5 thousandths depth. It's 10 thousandths difference, but it means that from one side on the radius, your rifling is 5 thousandths deep, or 4, say. So when you go to this gun, you know, the small pin rattles in there, you can feel it. 258 goes in quite well and deeper than it does in here. And the 258 pin kind of goes in a bit, and you can feel it's not even. There's movement here. So in actuality, you're looking at like a 2 thousandths difference from a good bore to that, and if your rifling's 4 or 5 thousandths different, that means that there's about 50% wear on the rifling. It's been kind of worn down towards the muzzle. And that's what's creating the flyers, is when the bullet gets there, and like you see, it's kind of uneven too because this pin wobbles. Okay, where when this pin goes in here, it doesn't really wobble. But when you get one in there, there's some looseness, but that wobbles there. This has wobble. So that's what's throwing our bullet off. And there's no way to tell, you know, there's no easy way to tell until you shoot it. So we know this barrel's worn and it's not going to give us accuracy, so basically I'll just look for another model that's a little bit better and just keep this in a collection until I get a replacement and then sell this one off. But that is the problem. Also, we had light strikes with this, which is probably a weak spring in bolt, firing pin spring. Somebody could have cocked it and left it like that for like 6-7 years. All right, and usually that's what does it. So that's how we kind of troubleshooted it. And usually you really can't find out how good the guns are until we had our baseline ammo. We know the ammo is good. And we know when a good rifle shoots fairly accuracy. We proved that. So now we know that the problem lies that the barrel's worn. And that's what gives us our accuracy problem with this particular gun. So that's how you kind of assess your surplus guns in your collection as you go.